Aloha, Richard Halverson here. This is ITS128, and today is November 17th. Let me share my screen here. And so we are somewhere around here. I don't think we finished chapter 8 yet. That's pretty, no, 9. Yeah, we're in chapter. Okay, let's go see where we left off. So I'm going to go to the recordings, and I think we must have left off at 8.1, 8.2 lists. Really? Oh, lists and dictionaries. Okay, yeah, that's lists and dictionaries are the most important. Strings, lists, and dictionaries, the most important part of Python, which you need to learn and be agile with the best. Classes are nice for working in big groups. You want to organize things, exceptions, modules, but really lists and dictionaries. So let's go to 8. Where were we now? We finished up 8.2. Let's go to 8.3 and just keep moving from there. Let's see, I'm signed in. So 8.2 was list methods. Oh yeah, these are methods that you get whenever you make a list. They're kind of methods that go along with the list. When you add to a list, you use a method that comes along with the list called append. And so this is for appending an item, and this is for appending a list. It's called extend. You can insert in the middle of a list and everything else gets pushed down. This is how you remove from a list. That's what all the methods are for. Anyway, so let's, oh yeah, reverse. I think I might have done this one, but anyway, so let's go with 8.3 here. So iterating over a list. Okay, so there are a couple of ways you can iterate over a list. You can iterate through a list. One is just by indexing the elements, starting with the first element, second, third, fourth. And so, or you can just iterate through the list where the variable is not an index that you're iterating, it's the item itself. So here's an example of finding the maximum even number. Okay, so we're going to input some numbers. We're going to split them into a list. A list of numbers. Split on the space. Okay, here's an example. There's this number, this number, this number, this number, this number. So this entire string gets read in. That's what that is. And then it's split based on the space. So it's split based on that. So this becomes a list of five elements, 5 integers. In fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, indexed 0 through 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so here, we're going to iterate through this list of tokens, and these are strings now because this is a string, and this thing just splits it up into 5 smaller strings. Okay, so we've got these 5 strings that represent numbers, but they're still actually strings. So we actually have to convert them into integers, numbers, if we want to use them as numbers, if we want to add them or whatever. In this case, we want to find the maximum one. So this iterates through each little string, and then this here converts that string, that little string, into the actual integer value, you know, and then this append function appends it. This now is a different way iterating through. Here, we're iterating using the index. And so we want to know the number of elements, and then we're going to use this range function here to specify the range of 0 through the number of elements minus 1. And this is index, so this index is going to take on values 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to the length of this of the nums list, which is 5. There's 5 of them in there, and so the range is going to be 0 to 4. And so this index is the item in the nums list, and so this takes on that value, and then this prints it out. So here we are printing out this. Here, okay, so we enter in this case, a string that's really 8 integers, and this lists them out here. That's what this is. This is listing out the 8 integers. And then this determines the maximum even number. So it's going to look at every one of them, and it's going to keep track of the maximum even number. So if it's an odd number, it's going to ignore it. If it's an even number, it's going to look at it and see if it's bigger than the even number that it already has stored. All right, so we're going to loop through nums. This is a list, and we're going to actually loop through. We're going to iterate through the items of the list. We're not going to use this indexing method of doing it. We're just going to take one item at a time, and we're going to check to see. First of all, here we check to see if it's an even number. So this has to be true for it to be an even number. And if it is an even number, then it's going to check to see if this max num, this max num is going to store our maximum even number. It checks to see if max num is equal to none, which means it hasn't taken on a value yet. So if the number is even and max num has not taken on a value yet, then we're going to set max num equal to that value. So now we have our starting out maximum even number, and so this is only going to happen once, because after that max num will not be equal none. It'll be this case. So with every subsequent even number, or with every subsequent number, it's going to look at this case. And the first thing it'll do is it'll check to see. It's not the first thing it'll do. The way this is written, it's the last thing it does. But nonetheless, it has to be an even number, so this has to be true. If it's not true, we ignore it. The number we're looking at has to be bigger than the previously stored maximum even number. If it's not, we ignore it. And here we're just checking to see if maximum is equal to none or not. So we probably should do this check first, because because this might not work because this is comparing two numbers, and this isn't really a number. This designates it's not a number. But anyway, so this last for loop here iterates through each of these numbers, and it keeps track of the maximum even number. So here it's going to end up, the result is 2. Here you're entering in a bunch of negative numbers, and so the maximum even number looks like it's this one, minus 2, because that's bigger than minus 10, and that's the only other. Oh, it's much bigger than minus 44. All right, so so that's the two ways of iterating through a list. So you can look through that. Fill in the missing field to complete the program. So count how many odd numbers there are. So we're going to start out setting the count equal to 0, because this is going to loop through for every number in this list of numbers. This is going to be the list of numbers. That's what we're talking about up here. And first it checks to see if the number is odd, and if this is true that it's odd. In other words, it takes the number that we're looking at, mod 2, and if the remainder is 1, then we know it's odd. And then only if the remainder is 1 do we increment this odd count. So to initialize it, we would have to initialize it at 0. Count how many negative numbers. So we're going to count how many negative numbers. We're going to set the count equal to 0. We're going to go through all the numbers. And if the number that we're looking at is less than 0, that would make it negative. Then we want to increment this. So CNT neg plus equals 1. Here we are determining the number of elements in the list that are divisible by 10. So here, yeah, you would take, if it's divisible by 10, then that means the mod 10 equals 0. If it's divisible by 10, it means mod 10 equals 0. And so here you would just test if I mod 10 is equal to 0. I mod 10 is equal to 0. Oops. Where did the I come from? So anyway, that's this one. Common error is to access a list with an index that is out of range. So when you are indexing something, like in here, we're actually indexing it. This has to be in range. I mean, this cannot be, it can't be negative because there's no such thing as a negative index. It's got to be at least 0. But then it can't be too big because it can't be bigger than, the number of elements in the list. So common error is to try to access a list out of range. So this is the kind of error that you're going to get. So you should recognize that as an error. So finding the sum of the list's elements. Okay, so this thing is just going to loop through and add up all the elements. So we start out by reading in this list of numbers. It reads in this string, converts it into a list of little strings, this being the first one, this being the second one, and so on. And then we're going to loop through and create this nums array, which contains the same list, but not list of strings. It's going to be a list of actual integers. That's what this does. This converts each one of these tokens into an integer. Now, this is a way of sort of getting at both the index and the element itself. So, and you use this function. This thing is going to return the index followed by the item. So for each, and this is going to be the index, is going to be the item for each one of those printed out. And so when we run this, when we run it, we see that this is the index 0. See, it prints out the index, which is this, the index, maybe they should call it index, colon, space, and then the item itself, which is this. And by the way, it's printing out the string conveniently, I guess, because this is where it's converted into an integer, which is appended onto this nums array. And we have to convert it into an integers before we can sum it up, because we're adding numbers. We aren't concatenating strings, we're adding numbers. So so this adds them up. Now there's all kinds of, here we're here we read in a big long string and we convert it into a bunch of little strings, and then we convert it into numbers, and then we add the numbers. That's not the only way that we can do this. We could, for example, do. I guess we have to do this to that. Well, we could always find the sum in this loop, because this loops through everything. This does convert it into little strings. We have to do this one at a time, because here we're dealing with a string which converts it into an entire list. So anyway, so I guess what I'm saying is that you could do this. You could sum equals 0. You could do sum plus equals this. Then you wouldn't even need this. So that should give you the same thing. So anyway, and I think this book should spend more time really telling you what's going on when we nest these functions. We're nesting these things, and you just have to sort of, the book kind of leaves it up to you to visualize how that actually works. Where first we start out with a token, and then when we put this int around it, now all of a sudden that is the token, but an integer form of it, and then that is the operand. That integer form of token is the operand for the append method, which in turn takes it and sticks it on the end of this list. And it may be better if they were to break it all down and say, int token equals int of token. Okay, and then you can look at that and see it's an actual number instead of a string. And then you say nums append this int token. That might be better, more clear for you. And then of course we could put the sum here. The sum can just be the int token. But also this is a shorthand also. This is better. So we're taking the current value of sum, adding this to it, and that is now the new value of sum. All right, well, anyway, see, I'm wasting a lot of time here. So built-in functions to iterate over lists. Here is a way to, these functions like look at the whole list at once, sort of. Not really, it actually inside it, it's going to iterate, but you can treat it as a function that's done in one step. And with parallel processing and multi-threads and cores and all that, it is, you can, for lists that aren't too long, you can actually, experience like unit time not depending on the size of the list and so on. So this will look at all of them, and true if every element in the list is true. So this is true if every true or not equal to 0. So these are all true. This is not all true because this is equal to 0 would be equal to false. This is true if any element in the list is true. So that's true. So that's why that's in. And there's this max function, the min function, the sum function. So, we don't really need to do this, right? We can just use the sum list function. So let's try it. I'm going to take this out of here. And I'm just going to say sum equals sum list. Nums. Let's see if that works. Oh, I need to do this. Darn it, what am I doing? Wait. Oh, it should work. Int is not. Int object is not. Oh, this is my list. And oh, do I need to? Well, I'm not sure why this doesn't work. Well, anyway, maybe this thing is not intended to do this function. Print. Well, min works. All right. Anyway, so here, so you can go through this. Assume this list is Z. What is returned with some my list? I guess it should be 30 or something. Maybe I don't understand. 15 plus 5 is 20 plus 10 is 30. Okay, here's the challenge activity. Guess, write a loop to populate the list that with a number of guesses. The variable this is the number of guesses the user will have, which is read as the first integer. So read each guess one at a time using this. Okay, so okay, so I guess we are reading in. Okay, so we read in a number and then we read 3 more numbers. First we read into 3, then we read in 3 more numbers, and they get stored in here, I guess. So I guess that's what we're doing. We're doing 4 I in range of 3 of num guesses. We want to user guesses dot append, and they want us to read in this, and it's going to come in as a string and convert it to an integer. So I'm going to read it in separately. I'm going to say num is equal to input, and then I'm going to say num int is equal to int of num, and then I'm going to say append num int, and I'm going to see if it accepts this. Yeah, it does accept it. See, so this to me is more clear. All right, some extra credit. So some the total index received given the lists with this. So in the map function to convert each string value into an integer. Oh, did we learn the map function? here someplace. Oh, it's the first time we see the map function. Okay. Assign with the total extra credit received given the list. Iterate through the list for that. The code uses that to split a string space and use the map function to convert each string value to an integer. Full credit is 100, so anything over 100 is extra credit. Okay, I get it. Okay, so this is 1 point extra credit. This is 7 points extra credit. So the answer is 8. All right. So we're reading in the input, and then we use this map function, huh? I never knew about the map function. Is this a new? Okay. Okay, so now we're going to iterate over test grades. For grade in test grades, for each one, we got to see if it's, so now we're iterating through this and this and this and this. So this is going to equal this string, and then this is going to equal, we take the string, we split it into a list of tokens, or a list of little strings, a list of 4 strings. This is the first string, the second one, third one, the fourth one, and then for each of those we map that into a list, and it's an integer function map. I guess it could be float, or it could even be we could be mapping a list of integers into strings, possibly. And then so what is returned is a list. This is very confusing. So anyway, so we loop through these grades, and if the grade is greater than 100, then extra credit, sum extra, equals sum extra plus grade minus 100. Okay, so so if the grade is like 101, like this is, then 101 minus 100 is 1, and so we add 1 onto this. If it's 83, then this is going to be false, and then so this won't do anything. So this won't execute because it didn't pass through this. So 107 will pass through it, and it'll add 107 minus 100 is 7. So 7 gets added. A 90 will not pass through. So this should probably be the answer. All right. So let me see if I can just give you a hint on this one and see if you can do it. Write a loop to print all elements in hourly temperature. Separate elements with the arrow thing, surrounded by spaces. So, all right. All right, so I guess what I would do is first I would print the 90, and then if there's any more, I would loop and print the arrow and then the next number. So let's pull up Replit. let's see, which replit is this? Okay, this is the one I want. We go to Teams. We go to 128. And let me create a this one. And so let me go over here and I'm going to create a new one. This one, call it that. And create it. So this URL right there, that's public. So anybody can go look at that URL and you see a list of all the ones that I've done for the class. All right, so I'm going to make something that prints out, that reads in this and prints out this, and I'm going to keep that note there because you want to have a space afterwards, I guess. Maybe I won't keep that note there. You can fix that if it doesn't work for you. So I'm going to do that. There, that's the comment. And so I'm going to read something. Does it give me any start? Okay, it gives me a start. Okay, I'll copy this over there too. Okay, so so now we have this array of temperatures. So I don't know what I would do if I guess we're going to assume there's at least one. So I'm going to print the first one. Print hourly temperature of 0. Print that out and put a space after it. Okay, there we go. So that prints it out and just puts a space after it. And then I'm going to do for, I guess I'm going to index. I guess I can index. For I in range of 1 to the length of hourly temperature, print this, what is it, this space, oh no, comma, and it'll put the space in there automatically, hourly temperature of I. Oh, and then I got to do end equals that. Okay, so I'm gonna split this out a little bit. I'm gonna say length list size. I'm just going to do that because I want to split all this up. I'm going to say list size equals that. Okay, because I want to split this. I want to make this all. And then I'm gonna. How about if I do HT just to make it HT equals that. So I'm going to actually pull it out into a single variable, and then I'm going to print it out like that. I don't have to do that. Anyway, I mean, this is kind of silly, but all right. So let's well, okay. So first of all, I'm going to run it, and it's waiting for me to input something because I didn't ask, but I just have to know. So I'm just going to put that. I'm going to do 90, 92. 94, 95. And what happens? Oh, this is what prints out. Okay. And so if we see that using the debugger, and I'm gonna put a breakpoint right here, and I'm gonna do this. Enter a list of temperatures. So I'm going to put a breakpoint right here, and that way it'll ask me for the list. I press enter, and then it'll sit there before it splits it. So I'm going to run it, and now it's asking me for a list of temperatures. Oh, I didn't. I'm going to stop it. At the very end, I want to do a print, so it will skip to the next line. You notice it didn't return to a new line. It just started the program and printed that out on the line before. So let's okay, there. Now it's down here. Okay, so let's run this using the breakpoints. And the first thing it does is ask for a list of temperatures, and I'll do the 90, 96, whatever, and that's enough. Oh, nothing printed. Okay, I'm gonna do 132, 50, 89. Enter. Okay, so now we're sitting here, and this is the list that was entered. And now we're going to split it up into, no, this is the string. This is just a string. And now we're going to split it up into a list of 3 elements. So let's click here. And now line 7 executed. And oh, look, now we have a list of 3 elements. And now we're going to print out the 0th one. And we're going to print out the 32. So let's go. Boom. Wonder why we didn't print out the 32. We're on line 10. Maybe it's because it's in the buffer. It's in the print buffer. I don't think we're going to see anything until we actually execute this down here. Okay. So so let's go to the next. Oh, but okay. So now we're going to create a new variable called list size. And next step. And so now we have list size, and it's 3. There's 3 elements in the list. And now we're going to do a loop here, 0, 1, and 2. In the first iteration, it's going to create a variable called I, and it's going to have the value 0. Click. And so now we have a variable. Oh, no, it's going to have the value 1. It starts at 1. Okay. Not 0, because we already printed out the 0th one. It's in the buffer. Anyway, it does seem more. Does it show what the buffer is? No, I guess not. Okay, anyway, let's keep moving. Click. And now we have this new variable called HT, which is the element itself. And now we're going to print these 2 things, but we're not going to see anything because it's in the buffer. You just got to trust me on that. And then we're going to do the 3rd iteration where I is equal to 2. And then we're going to go to the next one. And now we have HT, which is the 89. And we're going to print it again. And it's in the buffer. And now it's going to see if I has reached the list size. If I has reached the list size. If it has, then it's done. So boom, it did reach the list size. So now we're down here waiting to execute line 14. And now we should see the buffer empty. There it is. All right, what time is it? It's 12:10. So you can fill that in. Okay, list game. Following activities can help one become comfortable with iterating through lists. Challenge yourself with these list games. Find the maximum value in the list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this thing, and if it's a new maximum, that'll the latest maximum is going to probably appear right down here. And so if it's a new maximum, I want to click store value. If it's not a new maximum, I just want to click next value, I guess. So start, store value, next 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 value. Well, that was pretty easy. Let's do it again. Confirm. Yeah, I want to confirm. Okay, let's try it again. Store value, next value, next value, next value, next value, store value, next value, next value. Okay, anyway, so you can do that. Oh, negative value, you can do that one. Manually sorting the largest, move the largest value to the rightmost position of the list. If the larger of the two current values on the left, then swap the values. Wow, okay. This is like a bubble sort or an insertion sort. Let's see. This is what you'll learn about that next end of next semester. Okay. Okay, here we go. Now I'm supposed to move the largest value to the rightmost position. Okay, so it's already there. So it's already there. Oh, I gotta swap this. Okay. I gotta swap it. Gotta swap it. Swap it. All right. Oh, we're just shifting the largest value to the right. Is that all? Move the largest value to the rightmost position. The larger of the two current values is on the left, and swap the values. Okay. So start, swap, next, swap, next, next, swap, next, swap, next, swap, next. All right. Okay, that's pretty cool. List nesting. Okay, so you can nest lists, of course. Oh, you can have lists inside of lists, multi-dimensional lists. Should always remember that in any other language, a list is called an array. So multi-dimensional arrays. So here we just have a list, and basically it's just a list of lists. So a list can contain any type of object as an element, and a list itself is an object, so can do that. All right, so what does this do? Program assesses elements of the, accesses elements. Okay, so yeah, that's how you access them. You know, this is the 0th element, which is this one, and then this is the 0th element of the 0th element. So that would be just the A. So given this, what does that evaluate to? Or in other words, what is that? Or what is this? What does this reference? The 0th element of the 0th element. Well, this is the 0th element, and this would be the 0th element of the 0th element. So it would be that. This would be the 1th element of the 1th element. So this is the 1th element, and this is the 1th element of the 1th element. Hope you know what I mean. And this is just referring to whatever the first element is of the main list. And so it's that. That's the 0th element of the nums. So it's this list here. All right. So yeah, okay, this makes sense. Yeah, this refers to the first one. This is the second one, which is this one here, and this is the third one, this one here, and these are the elements inside. You know, so it's like these are the rows. The first index is the row, and the second index is the column. That way. And here's a visualization of that. So run the program, entering the text 1, 2 to input, find the distance between LA to Chicago. So, okay. And so I see. So this is okay. What is this? So I see what this is. So this is like a matrix. I don't know if you can see that, but so you know, this is these are the distances from Boston. These are the distances from Chicago. These are the distances from Los Angeles. See, so it's, you know, Boston, Chicago, Los Angeles. So these are the distances from Boston, and so the distance from Boston to Boston is 0. The distance from Boston to Chicago is this amount. The distance from Boston to Los Angeles is this amount. So this should be also Los Angeles to Boston, and it is. And this is Boston to Chicago, and here in the Chicago array, this is the distance from Chicago back to Boston, and it should be the same as this, and so on. So that's what this is. And so all this is referencing the zeroth, the second city. So it's going to be this one, and it's the second element in that one, which is going to be, I mean, it's this element, which is this. So that's why the output is 2011. So anyway, that's that. Assume the following list is created. Write an indexing expression that gets the element from scores whose value is 100. So are we just supposed to say scores 0, because it's the 0th row, and it's the first column of the 0th row? Yes. Just hold on a second. I got the city noise. All right. So in this, so we just did that one. Nested loops. Okay. So here it shows. You know, this is looping through the rows, and this is looping through the columns of the row. So this is, you know, these currencies, US dollars, euros, and British pounds, I guess. And so the outer loop is going to do first this one, you know, first the US dollars one, then the euros one, then the pounds one, and inside it's going to go, you know, this, and this, and I don't know what those are. Are these? Oh, they're just conversion of dollars to euros and pounds, I guess. Let's see, is this 5 times that? I guess so. All right, so iterating through multi-dimensional lists using enumerate. Okay, so you can use this enumerate function again, where it returns two values. It returns the index starting with 0, and then it returns the actual value itself. So we're in currency here. That's this. So row index and then the row. So it's going to return the first time. It's going to return 0 as the row index, and it's going to return this whole thing as the row. And then we can loop. So this column index, I see. So this is 0, 0, 1, 2 column index, and then this is the actual item. So the outside one is going to grab this row, and then this is going to loop through the row, and it's going to return the column index, in which case, for example, this is going to return column index 0, and the item is going to be the value 1. This is column index 1, the value is 5. Column index 2, the value is 10. So that's what this enumerate is going to return. This enumerate will set both these values. And so here we are printing out the indexes and then the item. So it looks like this. So you can kind of trace through this. All right. Find the error in the program. The desired output and the actual output of each program is given. Find the error in each program. Okay, so the desired output, and we actually get that. So for nums 2460. Okay. So we want to, this is what the actual output is that we want, and this is what we ended up getting. So we have this nums list. It's a list of lists. It's a list that's got, nums has 2 elements in it, and the first element is this, and the second element is this. And what we want to do is we want to take each element and we just want to print it out like that. So this is going to take each row. This is going to loop through the rows, and then this is going to, oh yeah, we don't want to loop through the rows. We want to loop through N1. See, so this loops through the rows, and then this loops through the rows. So that's why it prints. Yeah, so this is the error. This should be N1. See, N1 is going to go this row, then this row, and then N2 is supposed to go, you know, this element, this element, this element, this element, and then for the next row, it's going to be this element, this element, this element, this element. But instead, they put nums there, so the second time it loops through the same thing, and it prints out, you know, N2 each time. So anyway, I'm going to say this is the error. Inner loop should iterate over the outer loop. The inner loop should iterate over the outer loop. That's a good thing to remember. When you're nesting loops, you know, almost always the inner loop is iterating over, you know, the value that the outer loop has you at the time. So the outer loop is this N1 is going to, you know, first it's going to be that, and next is going to be that. But then the inner loop is going to iterate through each of these, and then the next time it's going to iterate through each of these. So let's see, the desired is actual output is that. Okay, so you're supposed to check for 3 X's in a row. It doesn't check for columns. Okay, it doesn't check columns or diagonals, so it's not really tic-tac-toe. It just looks for 3 X's in a row. So for each row in tic-tac-toe, okay, this is tic-tac-toe. It's got 3 elements, and each element is a list, and each list also has 3 elements in it. So this loops through those lists, and x in row. Oh, this is the number of x's in the row. Okay, all it does is check for 3 x's in a row. I don't even think it checks for three zeros in a row, 3 O's in a row. So here for square in row, okay, so this is iterating over the row. This is the outer loop, and the inner loop is in fact iterating over the what. No, I didn't mean to click there. It's iterating over the row here, and so square now is going to be equal to like the first time square is going to be equal to that. Next time it's that. Next time it's that. So if square is equal to x, and by the way, it's only checking x's. So if square is equal to x, then we increment. If num x in row equals square, well, num x in row is keeping a count. Num x in row is keeping a count. See, here we're adding 1 to it. Here we're checking to see if that count is somehow equal to whatever square is, and square is going to be equal to an x or an O. So this has got to be the error. The code should check if num x equals 3. Okay, so here this should be if num in row is equal to 3. It's in line with this. So it's going to loop through all 3 of them, and each time it's going to count up to see if it's an x. And so if it counts, and then when it's all done, it's going to check to see if x is equal. It should have checked to see if x is equal to 3. If x is equal to 3, then it's a win. Otherwise, it's not. So that's the error. All right. Anyway, let's do this one. Print the 2-dimensional list by row and column. On each line, each character is separated by space. Hint, use nested loops. Okay, so here we read in this string. And the first thing we do is we split on the comma. So this is going to be split. Look, there's 2 commas in here, 2 commas. So it's going to be split into 3 elements. This is the first element. It happens to be that. This is the second element, and this is the third element. Okay, so first we want to split it into these 3 elements. So this is the 3 elements. And then we're going to loop, then we're going to split lines into the actual integers themselves. So this line uses a construct called list comprehension. Oh, this is how we learn list comprehension? Oh boy, they really complicate things in this book. All right, I'm gonna have to find a reference to these 3 list methods that we've learned today just by doing a challenge activity. Okay, so this is lines, and so okay, so this is a for loop. This is the for loop that iterates through the lines. The first time line is going to equal this. The second time line is going to equal this one, and the third time line is going to equal this one. See, we've split this whole thing into 3 lines. There's 3 of them, and then we're going to split each one of these lines. We're going to 1 line at a time. We're going to call it line, and then for each line, we're going to do this before it. This is just crazy. And what this is this is going to take line. Okay, that would be the first time. It's going to be this, and we're going to split it on a space. Okay, so this is going to be that in itself is now, in this case, a list of 3 elements, and each element is one of these numbers here. So, and then this is going to iterate through one element at a time. By the way, this is a nested for loop. And this is going to convert that number into an actual integer value. And that is the value that's going to go into here. Anyway, we're supposed to print this out. You know, you may graduate, go off and be a Python programmer, end up getting a job where you're coding in Python for the next 20 years, and you become an absolute expert Python programmer, and you can program anything they put in front of you, and you'll never, and it's possible you'll never write anything like this. Okay, you don't see this in any language, but it's in Python, and it's one of the things these programmers call this elegant solution. But to me, it's just a confusing solution. But anyway, so I think the table is going to end up, I'm not sure what the table is going to look like, but let's just try to do this here. So now I'm supposed to print out that. I'm going to copy this over and make a replit real quick. I have until 1 o'clock. Let me go to here. Let me go to here. And I'm going to go in here. And I'm going to create a new replit. And it's going to be this kind. And I'm going to call it this. Copy, paste, create replit. Here we are. I'm going to take this. And I'll put that over here. And I'm going to take this up here, copy, and that's going to be, oops, this is going to be my comment. 1, 2, 3, enter, paste, enter, 1. Okay. Okay, and well, I'm just going to see what happens when I do this. Well, first of all, I'm going to do this. For row in multi-table, print row. I got to see what this looks like first. And I want to, that's going to be my data. Enter this. I didn't mean to do that. Enter this. Enter this. Okay. All right. And then I want to see what each row looks like, because I think this is a multi-dimensional table. I think I can print it. I'm printing integers. I hope I don't have to convert them into strings. Okay, enter that. And I'm going to, I think I can just do a paste. Yeah. Paste. Paste. No. 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. 4, 5, 6, comma. 7, 8, 9. Enter. Okay, good. That's what it prints out. It prints out the 3 rows space. And so now I just need to do 4, and I'm going to call it element, for element in row, and I'm just going to loop through the elements of the row. I'm going to print E, comma, end equals space. Well, I'm gonna. I see. I gotta know which one's the first one. I gotta be able to. So I'm gonna do index. So I'm gonna index through the rows. Okay. I'm gonna index through the rows. In range of length of row. Okay. So I'm gonna index through the rows, and I'm gonna say if I equals 0, then it's the first one. Print row of I. Print row of I, and then a space. Otherwise, it's not the first element of the list, and I can print a vertical bar, comma, row of I. And at the very end of each row, I got to print, I have to empty the buffer. Okay, so I actually have to print a new line, and that empties the buffer. Okay, so let's see what this does. 1, 2, 3, comma, 4, 5, 6, comma, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I need to do this end thing here. Now it should work. This easier for myself. Copy. Does this work? Paste. No, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. There we go. I wonder why.
Does that look like a end? Maybe we get an extra end there.
No, no. I see my error. I see my error. This print statement, all this does is print the return, and it's printing the return after each element in row. So that's why it prints the return after the first element of the row, then this is the second element of the row, and the third element of the row. So this print is in the wrong place. The indentation of the print is in the wrong place.
Oh.
So you can fiddle with that and get that to work. Try to trace through. In fact, why don't we trace through it? Do we have time to trace through it?
Yeah.
Let's trace through it. Okay, so I'm going to put a I'll put a breakpoint just to stop it. I guess I'll just look at this. I'll put the breakpoint here. All right. So I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna click run, and it's gonna ask me, and I'm gonna say, paste, yeah, enter. Okay, now the first thing is we have created the user input. That's user input. That's this thing here, and then we're gonna split it into the lines. So we're going to split it into a list of 3 elements, and you'll see. Okay, now we've got lines and it's got 3 elements because we split on the comma. See, so there's 3 here. This is the first one, the second one, and the third one. And next we're going to execute this multi-table funniness. Okay, we're going to execute this. And no. Wait, is that right? Oh yeah, we're on line 17. Okay, so let's execute this, and here we go. Where is it? Where is it? Well, anyway, we got this list. Oh, we're stuck on 17. What's going on? It's doing a bunch of 17 stuff. Look at that. Who knows what's going on?
Oh, it looks like it's going through each number.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it's repeated.
Yeah, because num's got a value here, so that's why we're seeing a num over here. Yeah, it's got to do all through these loops. There's lines.
To 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now we're on 2, 4, 6. Yeah, okay, the middle one. And we'll see line 2 point, and then we're going to see
3 on the line 3 now. That's on line 6. 3 and 6 and 9.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what line is. And finally, now 20, and now we've got this multi-table. Oh, look at the multi-table. Okay, look, they're all integers. There are integers in there. There's no quotes around them. And it's a list of lists. And so
But how do we make that to has the 3 lines instead of one long line, like a horizontal? I think we need to split that into, because on line 4, 5, and 6, it shows that it's supposed to come out like a 3.
we aren't done yet. Yeah, we aren't done. We have to print it out. It is. This is 1, 2, 3. The 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6. See 2, 4, 6. And then 3, 6, 9. So what we've done is we've created the multi-table. We've created this thing now, and now we have to print this out so it looks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all. So we're going to loop through. Row is going to be each one of these rows, and then I is going to be the index of 0, 1, 2 inside the row. So let's continue to execute this. Now row is going to have a value of 1, 2, 3, and now we're looping through the first row, and we see I is equal to 0. We're looping through the first row, and we print out row of 0, and we're just about to do that now. Oh, it's stuck in the buffer. Okay, anyway. All right, and now we're down here. Look, we're going to execute line 26 already.
Ah.
And look, it printed that out. So we executed. So this print statement should not have executed because we don't want to print it out yet. Oh,
I see.
We're going to put these in there first before we print it out. So
okay. Yeah, we have to have it in a list.
Well, yeah, you just
We have to collect it, yes.
No, you have to have it in line with first we loop through the row, and then when we're done looping through the row, we print out the row. See, so this print has got to be in line with
the 4.
Yes, the next, see, first this thing executes, then when that's all done executing, it's going to iterate 3 times. Then we print out this at the end. So when it's here, we can see that I must have had something else in my buffer. Let me stop this. Let me just copy this. See, that's better. So
did you fix anything on this just now?
Yeah, I moved the print so it's in line with this 4.
With the 4.
Yeah, remember before I had it in line with the if. And so inside here, this thing iterates for each element in the row, see? So it's going to print out the element in the row, then it's going to print the return, print out the next element in the row and print the return. And so see, this is going to all right, another way of looking at it. How many times, okay, so this is printing out 3 lines, right? 3 lines. It's supposed to print out 3 lines, right? This line, and then this line, and then this line. How many times, when the print is right here, how many times does this thing execute? Like how many times print once for each once at end of each line. So there are 3 lines. So this thing should print once at the end of each line. Well, this loop is going to execute, 3 times for every row. I mean, this outside loop. Okay, so this is this outside for loop here.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to execute once for each row, right? And so it's going to execute this whole thing once for each row. So another way of looking at it is with this for statement, it's going to iterate each statement that is in line with one indent. It's going to execute each one of those once for each row. So this is the only thing that's right now. This is the only thing that's indented once. See, it's indented once, and so this whole thing is going to execute once for each row in multi-table. There are 3 rows in multi-table. We can see that from, back when we saw the 3 rows in multi-table.
I'm sorry, but I have question is, I run this inside the book, and I think I got it, but there's some spaces missing. So is that being wrong on the print?
Some spaces, you mean when you run it in here?
Yes. So if it doesn't print out as expected, is that has to do with the print statement?
Yes, probably. So is there a space after here or something, or where are they?
I think the space after 1 and then space after 2. Let me look. If I'm trying to see what I did wrong here.
Okay, well,
Can you try run yours
yeah,
in the book?
this should be the correct answer. I'm going to take this out of here. Let me just. Okay, let me just. It's from here, so I'll just copy from here down to here. Copy.
Yeah, I thought I did the right thing, but I don't know why it's print. Oh, I think
after there, and it should not have spaces after there. Yes, yes. Okay, so I would do all right.
that in the end that we need to narrow, where the end with the space, is that where we just have to fix that?
Yes, we just fix the space.
That would be line 15 or line 17. Line 17, I think.
17, right. So we probably shouldn't do it this way. Let's do it where if I is less than if I is less than if I is less than len of row minus 1. So if it's not the last element in the row, if it's not the last element in the row, print out row followed by one of these. Okay. Otherwise, if it is the last element in the row, only print out the row. And in fact, we don't even need this then, because we just do it that way. So this should,
I think something error on 23.
yeah, I gotta put a comma.
Comma, yeah.
So this should probably work. Yeah, that prints out like that. So you can try this.
Okay, let me try again. I better delete the other one.
Yeah, that works better.
So what did I do wrong earlier? I'm trying to compare. Maybe I'm not gonna delete this. I'm gonna save this because I want to learn what mistake I made.
You mean you want to know what the problem was with the other version?
Yeah.
Well,
What
we
did
were
I do
always printing out a space after, you know, we would print we would print the first one followed by a space, and then we would print, well, okay, so we should have done it so, okay, this is going to print out a space after each one. It has to do with, I think maybe you should trace through and see.
I'm gonna compare it because I wrote down note.
Okay.
So I'll compare what works and what this scenario with the previous scenario, just so that I know where I made the mistake, that it didn't fit.
The problem with this tool, and I think any tool is going to be this way, is when you put something like this at the end of a print, then you're not going to see it. You're not going to see it until you execute a print statement that does not have one of these ends.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And what's going on is when we were doing it before, we were always printing a space after this, and then so there was always a space being printed afterwards, and then at the very end in line, when this loop was entirely done, then we would put that print there, and the previous print put a space at the end of the space. And so so you have to figure out how to print all this stuff where you aren't printing a space at the end of the line.
I like to find out, before we use I equal to 0 and we change it to -1. And why would you do that?
We didn't.
Line 22.
No, this is if I is less than the length exceed. Okay, so what we want to do is okay, there's for okay, this index is 0, 1, 2, right? 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. That index is 2. So for 0 and 1, we want to do one thing, but for 2, we want to do something different.
Oh.
See, and 2, and so how do we get at 2? Well, the length is 3. So it's, we can't use the length. So we take length -1, and that's 2, and then we use the less than. So if I is less than 2, then we do this thing where we print out the bar. No, we print out the number, then we print out the bar, and then we print out a space. So, you know, we're always printing out the space afterwards, except for when I is equal to 2. In other words, the length of the row -1 is equal to 2. So, you know, when I is equal to 2, then this fails. and then this executes, and then this just prints out the last element. And then because there's no and, it's also going to print the return right after.
Okay. All right. I think I'm gonna look over it again. Thank you
Okay.
so much. You repeat that. This step was very good because at least I see the comparison of the two, that one
Right.
works and one don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. I will see you
Yeah.
tomorrow. Or
Tomorrow.
Friday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
You have a great day. Thank
You too.
you.
Take care.
Yeah. Bye bye.